Stephen Pearl is with us, the Auburn assistant basketball coach, about to play Alabama.
Man.
That is on me, Stephen. My bad.
Nice. Thanks for joining us,
tough.
Stephen. See you later.
My bad. I was off yesterday, so I'm working back into it. How are you?
Doing well. How you guys doing?
Doing great. You do have Alabama next. That's what I was getting at when I stumbled over my words there. And that is always fun. I mean, I enjoy it when you guys are in Tuscaloosa, when the Tide comes to Neville Arena. It is a fun atmosphere.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's turned into, one of the best basketball rivalries in college basketball, just trying to keep up with the football side of things. Obviously over the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years, the SEC has run through the state of Alabama, with Auburn and Alabama winning 7 of the last, I think, 9 SEC championships or something like that, which is just, think back 10 years ago when you guys were covering the sport or any sport at all. Would you guys ever imagine that, that many SEC titles would be between Auburn and Alabama basketball? So it just speaks to, the job that Coach Oates and BP have done, at their respective schools, and it's made the rivalry that much more interesting. And obviously we've had a lot of really good matchups over the last couple of years.
I think when Nate Oates brought Mark Sears in from the MAC from Ohio a couple of years ago, nobody knew what to expect. And watching his progression over the last couple of years, and I mean, he's become a go-to guy for this team. One of the best guards in college basketball.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's obviously an elite scorer, and can do it from multiple levels. He's shooting like 47% from 3 this year. His offensive efficiency numbers are just off the charts. And as a guard, to be, one of the top 10 most efficient offensive players in the country at his size, playing in the SEC, speaks tremendous volumes. He shoots 58% from 2 as a 6'1" guard. So he does a lot of good things, doesn't turn the ball over at a crazy high rate with how much he has the ball in his hands. So he does a really good job, and he's obviously a really important piece for him, and he's obviously a focal point of a lot of team scouting reports, and he's the guy that you have to shut down if you want to have a chance at winning the game.
When you watch them on tape and you guys are breaking down the scout, how do they look different without Bediako back there? Bediako, who passed on a year to go on and go to the pros or try to go to the pros. Without him back there by the rim, how are they different this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's when you don't have a rim protector like that. Like last year, they were number 1 in the country in 2-point defensive field goal percentage. This year, they're 144th. So that's your answer right there. If he wasn't blocking a shot, he was altering a shot. He had the Walker Kessler type effect when he was in the paint. Like, you knew when you were going in there that if it wasn't going to get blocked, it was going to get contested and would alter your shot. So, it's obviously a huge piece that's missing for them, but they're playing better defense in SEC play, so they figured a few things out. But Bediako not being back there is obviously a huge piece that's missing on the defensive side of things.
Stephen Pearl is with us, the Auburn assistant coach, with us each week on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline, and we appreciate him joining us each week.
As Brown tries to dig out that opening hole.
Stephen, one of the best.
Yeah, no kidding. Golly.
One of the best in the business, and his insight is endless, really, in basketball. And I always try to impress you by looking at some sort of analytical stat before you come on so I can throw it out like I know what the crap I'm talking about. Auburn is the second best team in the country in first half basketball. Only Purdue is better. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to go back to our depth. That first half, we're just rotating bodies in, and we're really fresh. And, with a lot of teams that have a 7 or 8 man rotation, they're playing their starters, sometimes 16 to even 20 minutes. So those guys are pretty gassed at the end of first half. So we're really going on our runs in the last 5 to 6 minutes of each half, especially the first half. And it's obviously allowed us to extend, our leads at the end of halves. Part of it could go to quality of opponent as well. Coming into the season, we thought that we'd be a little more tested up to this point, playing teams like USC, Indiana, teams that, obviously were receiving votes in the AP poll or even ranked in the AP poll. Arkansas, Texas A&M, when we came into the season, we thought, damn, we got a really tough opening part of our SEC season, and they've turned out to not to be as good as we thought they were going to be. So part of that could be the quality of opponent, and we've played good teams. I don't think we've played great teams yet, and we're fixing to play a couple great teams this week. So we'll kind of see, what that looks like on the road. But our guys have done a really good job of just, rotating bodies in, staying fresh and furious, playing hard. And it's allowed us to, extend leads at the end of the first half. And it's a pretty impressive stat that we've been able to do it. And hopefully it's something that we can continue to build on.
40 more bench points Saturday. I asked you about the bench last week. You were talking about one of the more efficient benches in all of college basketball. If I let you draft 5 guys off of your bench and you go against your old man and he gets the starting 5, do you think you could collect 5 together that could beat his starting 5 right now?
I mean, it's tough. This group's obviously shown to be one of the best. But I mean, as far as like benches that we've had in the last 10 years, there's no bench that would compare to what we currently have right now. So they've done a really good job of just accepting their role and buying into their role, like we talked about. And it's obviously been a huge recipe for our success. And, it's something that's going to help carry us throughout the season. So it's something that we need to continue to obviously build on and continue to improve on.
Could you tell that in scrimmages in the offseason when you had 5-on-5 that you're like, dang, I don't know which team is blue and which team's orange here?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know who was going to start until like the week of our first game. Like, this is going to sound crazy, but like Chaney Johnson was beating out Jalen Williams all summer. Jalen Williams is putting up SEC Player of the Year numbers right now. If you look at his efficiency numbers as far as like his shot percentages, I'm going to find them for you really quick because they're that good.
Yeah, I got 63% from the field.
Yeah, his true shooting percentage is 73%, which is 6th in the country. His 2-point field goal percentage is 72%, which is 13th in the country, 1st in the SEC. Field goal, you get what I said, my point. But Chaney Johnson was beating him out this summer, so we thought Chaney may have been starting at the 4. Chad Baker is probably our best 3-man. But he's coming off the bench. Katie Johnson and Denver Jones were neck and neck. Trey started the season for us our first 3 games, and then Aiden ended up starting after Trey got hurt. So I mean, it's and Dylan Cardwell is probably the best defensive player in our league right now as far as his ability to just alter shots at the rim, and he's competing with Janai, who's a first team All SEC type player. So yeah, like our bench, if there was a 5-on-5 game, like our bench probably could beat our starters, which speaks to the strength of our roster, and it's something that has been working for us. So it's something that we're obviously really happy with, and it's something that we just got to obviously keep relying on.
But the attitude of those players is so important, and Justin Hokanson, who covers you guys for Auburn Live on 3, was on with us last week, and he praised like everything he hears about those bench guys. Like Cardwell could be starting for a ton of teams in this conference, but those guys have a good enough attitude that not starting doesn't get them down, and that speaks highly of them. You guys have to coach that up, I know, but some of that is just born in a player.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it speaks to the time that they've kind of put in with each other in the offseason, just becoming a little bit closer, and it's allowed them to buy into their roles so far this season. So you're right. It's really difficult in this age of transfer portal, NIL, to convince guys to be okay with 18 to 22 minutes a game. But so far, our guys have bought into the betterment of the team to win games and be accepting of these roles, and it's allowed them, in those limited minutes, those 20 minutes, to go as hard as they possibly can, which has shown their ability even more than having to be out there for 30, 32 minutes where you're potentially taking possessions off and relaxing to try and save yourself. Our guys aren't having to do that because they're not having to play as many minutes.
Did everybody know about Dalton Knecht when he was in the portal? Like, did everybody know he was going to be this guy?
I mean, everyone saw the potential, but not like this. You know what I mean? Like, he was second team all conference in his league, which was ridiculous. But, I think the biggest knock on Dalton Knecht was his if you looked at his stats against high major teams, they weren't nearly as good as they were against teams in his conference. But obviously everyone was completely off on that because he's shown that he's one of the best players in the country, against some of the best teams on their schedule. So, Tennessee got a really good one. They did a great job in the evaluation process there. And, he's a stud, and he's going to be one of the, he's turned himself into a lottery pick. So, to answer your question, no one saw, what he's doing right now. There was potential there, but no one knew that he was going to do this.
And he won the Stephen Pearl Hustle Award at Tennessee's camp this year, so that was really good, right?
Oh, the Stephen. Yeah, I doubt Tennessee has anything named after me on anything. So, yeah.
Hey, go back to
We'll leave that there.
After your playing days, though, in Knoxville, you started working for Stryker selling medical devices. And I think you did it for like 3 or 4 years, did you not? When came that point where you were like, this real world stuff, I got to get away from it, I'm getting into coaching?
Yeah, it was, I enjoyed it the first couple of years, and it was a lot of traveling and a lot of car time, a lot of windshield time by yourself. And I think it was like year 2 to 3, I was doing a lot more of I was an associate at first, so I was doing a lot more selling in my second and third year. So anytime I'd get a big sale, I would just get back into my car and be like, there's no one to celebrate with because I'm by myself in my car right now. It's I kind of missed the whole team aspect of, going through victory, going through defeat together. So I was kind of itching to get back into it. So I don't know if I think I told you guys this last year. I did a radio show in Knoxville for Tennessee Sports Radio, and it was the Stephen Pearl show on Sunday mornings from 10 to 12. So I did radio for, once a week. And that was my way of kind of getting back into sports a little bit, because I kind of burned out at the end of my college career with everything that happened at Tennessee with coach getting fired and me kind of finishing up, playing basketball for 20-something years. But year 3, I kind of got into this radio show, and I kind of saw myself enjoying covering sports again. And so that was kind of when I was itching to get back into it a little bit. And then obviously coach ends up getting the call to get, to come to Auburn. He calls me and asks, will you come with me and help me build this thing? And at that point I was 26. So that was 10 years ago. And I was young enough to switch professions. And, I was kind of scratching my head after year 2 at Auburn thinking, what in the hell am I doing? But it's all kind of worked out, and, we've built something pretty special. And, we're back in the top 10 for the 5th time in 7 years, which is, pretty ridiculous when you think about, how hard it is to do that and to do it at Auburn. And, it's been an unbelievable journey.
Do you remember your title sponsor on that Sunday morning radio show? Do you remember one of your sponsors?
It was Jets Pizza. It was, I was doing a Sunday morning show, and me and my co-host were just talking about Jets Pizza. And Ashley Middlebrooks is her name. She's from Birmingham, actually, and she owned a store in Knoxville. And she called into the show and was like, what are you guys doing right now? I own the Jets Pizza down the road. And I was like, we're just sitting here, she's like, I'm bringing pizza right now. So they brought all these pizzas and cinnamon sticks and stuff. So then it was the Stephen Pearl Show, brought to you by Jets Pizza. So that was my title sponsor.
Now, was it all trade, or did you guys get some cash out of that?
Got some cash out of it, but it was a lot of trade. We did a couple shows at one of their stores, so it was mutually beneficial for both of us. So I'm a big pizza guy, so really enjoyed that one.
Okay, now honestly, how good is Jets?
Jets is good. It's good. It's it's more of a deep dish style pizza. It's very filling, but it was one of my favorites when I was living in Knoxville. That's for sure.
Yeah, you knew how the game was played. Throw it out on the air, see if anybody else.
If you throw it out there, you never know what's going to happen.
No, you do not. You do not. And 10 to 12 Sunday morning is not exactly where they put a show to flourish. So that was a big win by you.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
That's where they put the C talent. So I realized that shortly thereafter.
All right, Coach. We always appreciate the time. Look forward to seeing the game tomorrow night in Tuscaloosa. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys. Appreciate you guys.
All right, Coach. Take care. That is Stephen Pearl, the Auburn assistant coach, with us each week at this time on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.